Welcome to Master the Game. I am Juice, and I am talking to my good friend today, Michael from unMadeGaming. He also is part of a podcast, the Dark Fortunes podcast. We'll kick it over to him in just a second, but I quickly wanted to mention, if you are new to the channel, I would appreciate it if you'd hit subscribe, give us a like, or dislike. I'm fine with whatever. Engagement's great. And then, I want to encourage you guys to participate in the chat, post questions, anything you want, and we will try to answer your questions. We're just going to have fun. We're just going to talk about RPGs, and maybe you'll get to know both of us. So with that, Michael, introduce yourself.
I'm not going to lie. I just startled the hell out of myself because I had the video open and it started playing and I heard you and then heard you and was very confused. But this confused human being is Mike. I work and I run and I created unMadeGaming. We started as a tabletop stream. We have advanced to like YouTube-y stuff and some community stuff and some podcasty stuff. So we are a tabletop content creation community / engine. And yeah, we're here to have some chit chats with chat here and my buddy Juice. So yeah.
I think it's funny because like the first time I think we've ever talked was back in 2015 maybe, through the one shot group.
Yeah, holy crap!
It was like a 3 a.m. chat, I think, or something.
Wow, you're digging in the annals of time with the RPG group. Yeah. The one shot group on Facebook. Of all places, I forgot that existed.
I guess it's going again. They shut down. I started the group obviously a long time ago, and through things I kind of let it go and gave it over to some other people. But I think they're going again over there. I haven't been in there. Like I think I joined it just to see if it was still going on, and then I quit.
That's
right
crazy.
away.
I blacked that whole thing out of my head. That's insane. Yeah, I think I ran a few one shots there, and I definitely played in a few one shots there. That's nuts. I forgot all about that.
Oh yeah, man, that was like the real start of the journey for a lot of people. I think back then.
Yeah. That's when everyone was doing like hangout games.
Yeah.
And like there was like the DM roundtables like every 2 days and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, my chats like this, the thing that led to the one-shot groups, I had a bunch of people, and we got together in a chat format like this because Gen Con in 2014, none of us went. And so then it was like, hey, here we go. And we made the group. I made the group a couple days later because nobody else was running with my idea. I'm like, someone needs to make this. Finally, I was like, I guess I got to make it.
Right, yeah. That's insane. So I forgot all about that.
When did you start Twitch streaming, though?
I started Twitch streaming in 2015, in August of 2015. I believe it is August 5th, 2015, but don't quote me on that. That's when I started streaming. And it was real bad. It was so bad. We had like, I pretended like I knew what production was. I bought a tripod. I stuck a webcam on top of the tripod. In my basement, I had like 3 couches and a glass table, and we had the microphone just on the glass table, and when we rolled, it would just shatter your eardrums, and the camera had to be so far away and so high to get all of us, and we're all like not small dudes, so it's a downward angle from a distance, so we all look like we're just like massively overweight guys in the worst angle possible. And then every 25 or so minutes, my boiler would kick on, and you could just hear nothing for like 5 minutes, so that would go off. And we streamed like that for like, I want to say like a year.
Oh my gosh,
so bad.
Do you have video of that somewhere?
So in all seriousness, it's deleted.
Oh,
I didn't delete it. I had a laptop that we used to stream on because we would bring it into that side of the basement. And I went to go upgrade it to Windows 10, and there was something that happened with my upgrade, and it wiped my entire like hard drive. Like it erased everything. So I lost like 3 years of filming.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So I lost an entire 50-something episode campaign. I lost this like 20 episodes of a first season of another long-term campaign. I lost a whole bunch. I think if you like scrub through the oldest clips on my Twitch channel, you might find a super old, awful, embarrassing clip of just how bad we looked and sounded. You know what? I will see if I can find it for you. I'll send it to you. We can put it in the
awesome.
We can put it in the comments below.
So it's funny. I went back and looked at some of my earliest videos recently. And I was like, oh, they're so bad. But I mean, my intentions were completely different too back then.
Right.
Like back then it was just to be social with a group of people, that liked RPGs in a Facebook group called the RPG Brigade.
Yeah.
We used to do video responses and all sorts of cool stuff that
Mm-hmm.
YouTube used to allow you to do. And so it's funny when I go back and look at them, I'm like, oh man, I was using that handy cam from 2006.
Oh yeah.
And no microphone, lighting wasn't even a thought. It was just my face. And
Yep. Like right in there too. Like all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And it's like, and some of my takes back then, like what I thought about RPGs compared to now, I'm like, oh, I really thought that crap. Like, oh, it's so bad.
It was, well, that's the thing is like, I think like the big like RPG like YouTuber boom, right, happened in like 2012, like 2012, 2013, right? Like that's, I think we, like you started around then. That's where like Netflix started, Barker started, right? And no one knew anything.
Mm-hmm.
We were all a bunch of nerds who were like, I'm going to turn this camera on and see what happens. And, and like, if you go back, you could see what happened. It wasn't great.
Barker did great.
So many people had like ums and uhs and like you can tell like they weren't like scripted or like super planned or like it's I think if you go back to like the original like Nerdarchy videos, they're like interviewing people on the street. They're going into like I think one of their first videos, because they were going to be like an all-inclusive just like nerd channel. And I think one of their first videos, they interviewed a dude who was like a yo-yo master, right? So like you would never expect a Nerdarchy to be on the street interviewing a yo-yo master if you know Nerdarchy now. You'd be like, what were you guys doing? And they're like, I don't know. We were figuring it out, man.
We need Nerdarchy to go back and do stuff like that.
Yeah, right?
Oh my gosh. It's fun. I remember starting to watch their stuff because they talked about, I want to say like some RPG. I don't know what it was at the time. And then they like followed it up with like a comic book video. I was like, oh, okay, this is cool. And then, like you said, they did some other video about something. It's like, oh, what the hell is this?
Yep.
So, yeah.
They did a bunch of like random stuff. You're like, what were you guys doing? Yeah. Like, I asked him too. I was like, Dave, what was this? I was like, you interviewed a guy who owns a nerd store. He's like, yeah, we were figuring it out. And I was like, all right, I you know, much respect, man.
Right. Oh, I love talking to Dave. Dave is hilarious because like all the conversations I've always had with him, he's like, you're all over the place with your content. You need to like niche down. And like, I've always had that voice in my head. Like I said, and before we went live, I'm like, I always had that voice in the back of my head that I need to find my niche. And since I gave that up in the last 8 months, I'm having way more fun. And I think people like it more. So.
That's all you can do. It's all about like what it's, if you have to put out content you enjoy, for sure. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. I think Nerdarchy started in 2014. Like early 2014.
Yep.
And because at that time, I was still just doing like videos for fun and just to talk to people. And I still just do it for fun. But like once we started the One Shot group and that started growing really fast, all of our channels that were really big in the One Shot group grew like 1,000 subscribers in a couple months. We were all like, oh my gosh. Like, I mean, you had SR2 Joker, you had my channel, you had Nerdarchy, A Fistful of Dice. Like all these people like saw huge growth. And then it was like, wait, this could be a business. Like people are actually getting like free products and endorsements. And so a lot of people's focus, I think, changed then. Nerdarchy always had that idea. They always wanted to make money. But at the time, most people thought it was like this gross thing. Oh, you're going to get paid to do like YouTube videos. Come on.
I remember that. There was a huge debate on like Facebook, YouTube comments. Like people would get dragged for that. Like, oh, you know, I'm going to charge, you know, $70 to be a GM for 5 people. And people are like, that's disgusting. And now like everyone's doing it. Yeah. Right. You should play it for fun. Like, how can you quantify what the other people value as fun? Like, and I was like, oh my God, the amount of nonsense that is happening in here. I'm like, all right.
There's still some old school people who have hung on to that. Oh, paid DMing is wrong. I've always been consistent about it though. Like if there's a market for it, then let them do it.
That's the thing. If there's a market for it, and we operate on a free market, and if people think that they value you as a GM and your storytelling ability and your experience, and like, then whatever. Exactly. Let's put it out there. That's how you find out. Be like, hey, I want to charge this amount of money to GM, and people are like, no. And you're like, all right, well. I guess I'm not worth that much money. I guess, right?
Learn the hard way. Haven't gotten it in front of the right people.
Yeah, that too.
Which is
either way, you're not there yet. Is what it is. Is no one's gonna to pay for that much money or for your services if they don't know who you are. So
So that's funny. So over years, like obviously you've been doing this for 5 years now.
yeah, I'm
You
old.
from when and I haven't watched a full episode. I'm not gonna lie,
Well, that's
but
rude.
I know, right? But I've tuned in a lot for short periods of time, and I've always thought you have not only wonderful casts, but like your overlays look great. Like everything I see looks top notch. I mean,
Thank
how
you.
did you figure this stuff out?
I stole it.
I mean, that's the
Um,
truth, right?
I mean, yeah, it's not a lie. So, so a buddy of mine was better at GIMP than me, and so all of our old overlays, probably from when we started to like a year or two ago,
Mhm.
um, he did them all.
Okay.
And then I really liked the overlay style of Saber Dice. And then
Mm.
I became a cast member on Saber Dice, and I said, "Yo, give me that overlay." And then I took the overlay and I modified it to my overlay. So now I have the same style, which I think works for what we're doing because we're
Yeah.
primarily a role playing. We also adapted it to like be able to show maps and stuff as well. Um, so yeah, it's all been like see what other people are doing. It's
Mm.
the same on YouTube, right? Like check what other people are doing. How can you make it different or
Yeah.
better or your own style or whatever? So yeah, I know a lot of people used to do much smaller cameras and much more like big space on the screen, and now we do like the cameras take up 90% of the screen.
Yeah.
And then you can kind of see background because at the end of the day, if we're role playing for 2 hours, you're looking at our face, so our
Mhm.
faces should be the biggest thing on there, right? And so it was a while before I realized that. A lot of the time, if you look at some of our older like clips and videos on YouTube, you'll see we have like very tiny cameras along the top of the screen and like a very big map for Roll20. And I'm like, no one, we're not even in combat. I'm just showing a picture of an ocean. No one cares about
Yeah.
this picture of an ocean. They just want to see our faces. So yeah, I mean, over time, I bought Photoshop and I slowly started to learn how to do Photoshop, and so now I make all the overlays myself, and I'm learning as I go, right?
Yeah.
And then casting is the same. Like I started out with like just my friends, and then from there I went to like who wants to play, and then from there I was like, oh, you want to play, and then I'll play on your channel, and then we'll do like a mutual thing, and then we'll get like bigger names over here, and then like, and now it's to a point where I actively cast or I actively work with GMs on the channel who are casting, because we want to take um, like the theme of the game, and mix that with the theme of the channel. So like our channel, we're very much like role play heavy, beer and pretzel style,
Yeah.
um, narrative storytelling. Um, so we want to make sure that like if you're going to drive a combat heavy game, you might not be for this channel. We're far more into the narrative spaces, and that's what people expect from us. And people like narrative spaces.
Right.
We like quick, punchy combats. But we also want to make sure that you, as a cast member, are comfortable in that kind of play. We want to make sure you're safe at the table, and then we want to take, if we know we want this person to play, we want to make sure we get people that like are complementary or challenge them in a positive way, so that we're all role playing like together, right? Like when you're just have a bunch of your friends together, you just kind of get what you get, right?
Yep.
But we're producing content, which is a little bit
Yeah.
different. So now I can be a little bit choosier or a little bit like, okay, we want to go with this kind of tone, this kind of theme. So like, let's get this person. Who do they play well with? Okay, they play with this person. Who do we think they could play with? That kind of thing. So we do try to open it up to as many people as possible. Like obviously we're very inclusive. Like we have a large LGBT audience.
Hmm.
We have POCs on the show. Women in gaming are on the show all the time. So we try to get as many people with different backgrounds as possible. Because really at the end of the day, like if I'm your token average white dude, I have my average white dude story. And if I have a table full of average white dudes, we all have basically the same story. So
Right.
like it's not the more unique voices you have, the more unique stories you have, and the better story overall that you tell. And on top of that, you can also do your part to like uplift other voices that wouldn't, have a platform otherwise, or whatever,
Yeah.
right? So
I agree with that. And um, gosh, there's so many things I want to say on there. Like, so that, like, I love the fact that you have diverse casts. That's something I've wanted to explore more of myself,
mhm.
especially in recent events. Like I feel like elevating other people is a great way to, help the community as a whole, right? Because we don't have a lot of minorities representing our hobby.
Right.
They're out there. They're out
Right.
there. And over the years we've played with like, a lot of minorities on my channel. I've had like Marquise Hardis. I've had Infinite Roleplay. I think has been on here. Not Infinite Roleplay. Is it? No, I don't know. Anyways, like a bunch of people, right?
Sure.
And I play with girls. Like my wife plays. She comes on my
Yeah.
channel. And I've, in fact, some non-stream games, I've had a couple trans people playing games with me. But
Yeah.
for some reason, I struggle to find people online that are more diverse. It's always a white dude, it seems.
So it's something I've also struggled with, and I think any average white dude will struggle with it, right? Because it's you're now in a space that's very different than interacting person to person, like meeting at a bar or whatever. And so what you normally do is say, hey, I'm a safe space.
Yeah.
But then you have the people outside looking in, and like you look like an average white dude. So you can't just say, hey, look at me, I'm a safe place, come play at my table. You have to prove that with actions more than words. So you have to like actively be a safe space. You actively have to employ safety tools. You have to encourage, like POC voices, women voices, LGBT voices, like as you have to do more than you say. And it took me a while to figure that out. Because I was like, why does no one want it? Why do I was like, I'm trying. I just keep having white dudes or my friends. So I'm like, and it was reaching out to people, and I was like, hey, like we're friends. And what can I do? And they were like, try this. And I was like, fucking thank you so much. Like I didn't know, because like you only have your experiences to reflect on. And so without the knowledge of friends in that space, you just don't know. And so that's really it. It's humble yourself and reach out for help. Hey, how do I, and if possible, with all things that we try to do in this tabletop space, if you're saying like, hey, come check my channel, let me know how to be better in this area of things, obviously pay that person as well, right? But yeah, that's really what it is. Humble yourself, know that you don't know all the answers, and then reach out and say, hey, how do I, and then be respective and responsive to whatever they tell you is basically what it is. And that's what I've done over like the past 2 years, is I've made like active pushes. And I constantly have friends say, like I have GMs on the channel that say, hey, Mike, we need more diversity in this area. And I say, you're right, let's work on that. And they're like, okay, great. And if they say, hey, we need to do X, Y, and Z, by default, my now response is like, okay, let's do X, Y, and Z. Let's go. Let's see what happens. You have free range.
Yeah, for sure. That's awesome. So you were talking about your more of a narrative style, quick, punchy combat.
Yeah.
The systems you tend to play on your channel reflect that, right? Or do you modify them a little bit?
Yes and yes. So we tend to not play Dungeons and Dragons. I know, shocker here. Be careful, YouTube. I don't want you to explode. We tend to not play Dungeons and Dragons because Dungeons and Dragons is, at the end of the day, a combat simulator with role-playing aspects. So I'm a huge fan of Son of Oak, which are the people who make City of Mist, and an even bigger fan of Free League, which are the people that make things like Tales from the Loop. They make Coriolis, they make Mutant Year Zero, they make Alien, they make so many games. But I'm a fan of them because they are primarily narrative games. And the combat is quick. It's roll this, you hit or you didn't. That's it. And your weapon does this amount of damage, period. Go, keep going. Let's roll. Things like City of Mist, you don't actually have, like, you consistently roll basically the same number of dice every single time for every roll. You just apply power tags, like as if you were playing a Fate game, to that roll. So you're like, okay, I think in this scenario, I'm investigating, I want to use this power tag, this power tag, and this power tag, and that'll give me a +3. And then you roll, and you go right into a narrative kind of thing. Even the combat runs the exact same way as an investigation roll. So you narrate your way through combat. There's no initiative. You just kind of go with the flow of what is like. So imagine like a John Wick movie. That's kind of how I narrate a combat scene in a game like City of Mist, where it's like, okay, you fired at this guy, he fires back at you. Your turn. What do? You fire? Okay, cool. That guy over here dodges your thing. What are you doing in the corner over there? You're hiding behind a barrel. You shoot your gun at this guy. So like, I just try to keep it flowing as much as possible with describing and actions and not getting bogged down with, okay, I roll a d20 plus a 3. And then I have a longsword that does, a plus 2d6 damage on a target that I've already hit once. And then I also am raging. So I have this, and then and you're like, oh my God, just roll the dice, please. Just roll anything at this point and just tell me numbers. I don't care.
Right.
So
and part of that lends itself to an audience too. Like if I'm watching, I don't care technically about your numbers.
Yeah.
Like I just want the scene. I want the action. Like it's just like if I'm watching a movie, I don't need to know that the director had to look that up real quick and just get with it.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where like it's cool to watch the behind the scenes of Keanu Reeves training for John Wick. However, if you're in a theater of 100 people, I bet you not all 100 really care right now, especially in the middle of the movie, to be like, oh, guess what? You want to see how cool this was before? Here's an example of him training. You're like, I'm in the movie. Let's go. I want to see what happens after the fight.
Here's how we use the green screen. And
So we try to keep it narrative as much as possible, because at the end of the day, like it's like streaming tabletop RPGs is like radio shows of like the 1920s, right?
Yeah.
Where like there's a fight scene between the Green Hornet, right? But you can't see it. So you just have to like listen to the biff, wow, bam, boom, and then it goes back to the next scene where you're like, oh God, this is really intense. What's happening? So we try to do the same kind of thing. Because at the end of the day, we're not acting out a scene. We're just sitting here. I look exactly like this, and I'm telling you what happens. Right. So we have to do the best with what we can. Like we don't have special effects. We don't have I'm not physically punching a guy. I'm just telling you I punch a guy. So I have to use my words to paint that picture as best as possible, so you can have the best visual in your head as you can. Right.
Right. Yeah. My wife, I'm just starting to get her into more narrative style, because she grew up on second edition D&D, playing with some old school gamers. It's very tactical and specific. Oh, I want to search for something. Oh, well, where are you searching? Oh, I'm searching. And how are you it's just very and trying to get the gotchas in there from the DM. So that's how she was raised on it. And in the last handful of years, she's really started to adapt to, oh, wait, I can really describe my spells in a fun way. And because we play D&D mostly. We're branching out into other things there too, which again is new to her. She's always liked D&D and didn't want to try new stuff.
Right.
But we played Call of Cthulhu a couple weeks ago. She loved it. We played Fantasy Flight Star Wars a couple months ago. She loved it. So she's coming around, and I have a feeling we're going to continue to go that path in the future.
I honestly think that's one of the best things to come out of the streaming / YouTube space, right? Is everyone thinks, oh yeah, you're introducing so many new gamers into the thing. Yeah. But I think that's obviously the number one thing. But I think the number two thing that no one talks about is but you're taking all these people who only know D&D, and now they're being able to say, I played D&D for, how old am I now? 17 years. But it wasn't until 3 years ago that I learned about this myriad of other systems. And I was like, oh, there's more. Oh, there's better. There's something more appropriate for my style. And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, let's go. And then once I found out, I was like, boom, 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 Kickstarter, buy this game, pay for this game, let's play this game. And I just dove into learning how and playing games. And so that's really what I recommend when people are like, hey, what should I play? I'm like, everything, just try it, watch it, try it, buy it, read it, do whatever you got to do. Absorb so much things. That's you don't only watch one TV show over and over again. Why are you going to play only one RPG over and over again? It makes no sense.
Right. That's a great point right there.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the first game was that pulled you away from D&D?
Oh man. The first game, I played a bunch of D&D, and then I streamed a bunch of D&D. I want to say the first game that I played, that I got into, that wasn't D&D, was Monty Cook's Cypher System.
Nice.
Which is a good in between, right? Because at the end of the day, Monty Cook worked on D&D 3, and much if you look at the rules for D&D and you see that over half the book is combat rules, over half the book, over half of the meat of the book for Cypher System and Numenera is also combat rules.
Yep.
So it's still a combat simulator. It just has more room and customization for roleplay. So like that got me into a more and then even then the combat is described more narratively and more free flowing than the rigidity of D&D. So I think that's where I whet my appetite on more than D&D kind of stuff.
Was it Numenera?
I think it was Numenera. Yeah, it was Numenera, and then I played some Cypher System stuff, and then I played some not Fantasy Age. Yeah, it might have been Fantasy Age actually. We played a little bit of Fantasy Age, which again, it's same kind of concept. Yep. And then we started doing the charity streams where we would just do one shot. So people just started like throwing one shot games, which I was like, I never heard of this game. I'll just sit down and play and see what happens. I can roll dice and role play. Like I'll just role play my way into and out of any scene with dice, with or without dice. That's just my kind of style of play. So I just started experimenting. We used to do one 12-hour charity stream a month and it would be 4 separate one shots. So at most I would play like 2 to 3 different style of games that weren't D&D a month. So it was great. I went on an overload, and then I had so many people were like, oh, check this out on Kickstarter, check this out on Kickstarter, check this out on Indiegogo. And I was like, overload, let me read all these RPGs. Like I have a library of RPGs behind my green screen. That's just, I'm like, well, I can't read all these things. But then through playing them and through watching them on stream and talking to other people and getting their opinion, I've learned a bunch of games, and it's great. It's great.
Do you know how many games you've played, or have an idea, a ballpark?
I don't. I want to say confidently between 20 and 30 different systems in the last 5 years.
Okay.
The thing is, though, a lot of the systems have been powered by the Apocalypse, which is a very like moldable system. Yeah. So like so many people will create a new game based off the core rules of Powered by the Apocalypse. So I've probably played like 10 plus Powered by the Apocalypse games. And then on top of that, a bunch of other games for other systems. Like I know, like I mentioned Free League before, all of their games, they technically run on the same system, but they're each unique, different games. So like I would count them as different games, but I mean really it's all the Year Zero system. So Mutant Year Zero created that system, and then Tales from the Loop runs on it, Alien runs on it, Vesson runs on it, Coriolis runs on it. So like that's 6 games that run on the same system technically. Right. So
there's so many games I want to try that I know nothing about. Like you just mentioned like 3 or 4 in there, like Powered by the Apocalypse. There's a bunch of games there.
Yeah.
City of Mist is powered by the Apocalypse, right?
City of Mist is its own thing, but it's very much like if you took Powered by the Apocalypse and you took Fate and you smashed them together, and then you put it in a noir setting, that's kind of what it feels like. If you played either one of those 2 games and you kind of get the feel for it, it makes it that much easier to learn City of Mist, in my opinion.
Gotcha. Yeah, the first time I ever saw that game was actually your stream, and I think it was your first stream for it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, because I remember jumping in the channel. I was like, oh, this is like a superhero game, sweet, and I'm like, I really want to find a good superhero game. Yeah. That and so that was one thing that always stood out to me. But Tales from the Loop is one I want to try.
Yep.
Nate, who lives near me, about like 10 minutes away from me from WSD 20, he talks about that all the time. He runs it at conventions.
It's so good.
I'm gonna make him run it for me one day.
It's one of my favorites.
Or I'll just jump into a stream game.
We're actually like we're planning right now for more Tales from the Loop. We ran a campaign called Atari Twilight 2 years ago, in 2018. And we have been clamoring for a season 2 of that show for 2 years. Oh, wow. Finally, in about 2 weeks, the second season's coming. So we got the entire original cast back together from 2 years ago to play the second season of this game that we have all been waiting for 2 years. So it's crazy because right now, so many community members that are like new in the last year or so are going back to watch a 2-year-old. And it's like 12 episodes. They're 3 hours apiece, right? So it's like 30 plus hours of content. They're like going ham on just like binging 30 hours of content to get ready for season 2. And it's so crazy because like I remember season 1, but now they're in the Discord like, oh my God, I'm on episode whatever. This is insane. I'm on episode this is crazy. What happens next? And we're like, shh, everyone's at different parts. This is crazy. Yeah. So it's a super surreal moment where it's like, you haven't caught up on the latest episode of Stranger Things, but like your friends talk about it. You're like, shut up. I haven't seen it yet. Right. It's so weird to think about that as a tabletop game that people are doing that with. Yeah. It's absolutely wild.
So speaking of your Discord and stuff, Cornelius was in my Discord as well. She had a tattoo of your logo.
Yeah.
When that first happened, because this is always like that hasn't happened to me yet.
Yeah.
What was your thought on that? Like, I can't imagine. Like,
I was blown away. So she reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting this." And I said, "Ha ha ha ha."
Right.
And then she said, "No, I'm serious." And I said, "You're crazy." And then she goes, "Is that okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, it's your body. I'm not gonna be like, no, don't get my symbol tattooed on you, right?" So I was like, "Yeah, do whatever you want. Like that's dope. If you feel like that ingrained in the community, or that the community has had such an impact on your life that like that's what you want to do, like,
yeah,
who the heck am I to stop it? Like that's the whole point of the community. That's why we're here, is to make a friendly, safe space for nerds to exist and like, you know, share opinions and play games, and tell stories." I was like, and so if you feel like we did that for you, and you like, if it has impacted you, go nuts. And then she did, and I was like, "You're nuts."
It actually looks really good too.
It does look really good. I was like, "I didn't think you were super serious." And then she was like, "Yeah, you said I could." And I was like, "That's so crazy." But it's one of the coolest things ever. Like, she used to repost it like every couple months, just like retweet her own tweet and like see it come up. I think like the tattoo artist was like, he loved the design. I think he follows me on like Instagram. It was the craziest thing I've ever seen. I was like, this is insane. That has definitely been one of like the more insane like high points. Like,
right,
playing a live game in front of a live audience at Gen Con was an insane thing. Someone tattooing your logo on them is an insane thing. Like, meeting certain people that like I have no business meeting, that's an insane thing. I'm like, what's happening? I have no business being in any of these places. How do I keep getting here?
That's always wild to me too, when it's like people I look up to, like whether they're big YouTubers or whatever, and they're like, "Oh yeah, I know who Juce is." It's like, what? You know who? Like, that still blows my mind. Or like being like noticed at conventions.
Yeah,
like that's so weird to me, and that happens for me. That's about the extent of the craziness. But
it's so weird.
Like, even Nerdarchy has some people, I think, with Nerdarchy tattoos.
Yeah, you know? Yeah. I mean, like Dave and Ted both have one, but yeah, I think there's other people that also have them too.
Yeah. I would do it.
I know for Nerdarchy Con, they were actually going to have they met up with an artist, tattoo artist in Gen Con. They were actually going to have him come out as part of Nerdarchy Con and like tattoo people. And I think they were covering any cost for, if you got the Nerdarchy logo tattooed on you, Nerdarchy would pay for it, which is also insane to me.
So so next year they're going to have this tattoo.
I mean,
because I am going.
Next year they'll have the same tattooist. I think his name's Chad Rowe.
Yep.
And I think I remember hearing something about, if you get a Nerdarchy tattoo, it's free, which is bananas. I was like, that's absolutely insane. So,
I might have a Nerdarchy tattoo next year.
Now I gotta compete with Dave. So the first unMade con, we're gonna have free unMadeGaming tattoos.
Is that a dream of yours?
Just for that part, nothing else. There's actually no real convention. It's just one room. We just siphon you through Chad Rowe as he buzzes the logo on your, I don't know, arm, leg, ass, cheeks. Whatever you want. Yeah, exactly. Whatever you want it, right?
I love it.
That's it. It's the quickest convention ever. It's just a conveyor belt of tattoos, just going through.
Free tattoos, though.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It's free
for everyone but you.
Yeah. Yep.
That's awesome. Yeah. So, speaking of which, I love what Nerdarchy's doing, with trying to branch out into other things. And ever since Dave started his channel, he had told me back then some of his ideas. And he's got a lot of good ideas. Do you think your brand will ever be anything other than a streaming channel?
Absolutely. The goal of unMadeGaming was never to be just, and I use that word hesitantly, a streaming channel. I don't know what to call what we want to be, but when I said we want to be when I said we were a content creation engine, that is true. Mm-hmm. What we want to be is, we want to get to a place where we're producing Twitch streams, we are producing quality YouTube content, we are producing quality podcasts. I would like to have a studio, like a physical, like the way Critical Role or Hyper RPG or Geek and Sundry, like a studio where everyone kind of works in-house. We have an in-house editor, audio engineer, video stuff. Like, I would like to make this a brick and mortar building, where we have like set design and like people are like in cosplay playing the game. Like that's where I want to be in the future. Will we get there? Who the heck knows? Will we stop trying? Absolutely not. It's a matter of time. So, I mean, step one is, I think, what we're doing now. Step two is make enough money that I can do it full time and fully dedicate every ounce of my being to doing it. And then we just slowly add more pieces of the puzzle. Like right now, we were only a Twitch stream, and now we have a podcast, and now we had enough success to hire an audio engineer for that podcast. And I'll get yelled at by someone in chat, but for not saying this. But we're currently doing, and this is probably like the first time we've really like said it on a platform that's not one of our own. We just did something insane that I've never seen done by anyone of our size. So we just had 2 seasons, so 2 3-month seasons of a show on a tabletop game called Coriolis, again, a free league game. The show's called Void. Everyone loved season 1. We, the players, felt like we could tell so much of a better story if we gave it a season 2. Everyone else who watched it had so much fun and so much love and so much just like outpouring of like whatever emotion for this 23 episode series over the course of 6 months, that the demand was so high for a season 3 that we all collectively sat down the table and said, okay, what do we need to do to ensure a season 3 for this community, right? And we said, we can't do it now because we don't have the schedule, we don't have the time, we don't have the resources. Let's plan it for January. What do we need for January? And we essentially launched a Kickstarter off of Kickstarter. So we opened up a Ko-fi or Ko-fi website. Yeah. We set a goal at $1,000 and said, if we can raise $1,000, we will guarantee you a 12 episode arc starting in January 2021, 2 hours a piece. We'll be back. Same, let's go, season 3. We hit it in 4 days.
Oh, wow.
We launched it on Monday. We hit it last night. So now we have stretch goals. Like if we hit the next goal, we get updated artwork. If we hit the goal after that, we're going to do a cosplay shoot. If we hit the goal after that, we're gonna record the audio separately and mix it down into a legit podcast, as well as take all the previous episodes, do our best to clean up the audio and release that as a podcast. And then if we hit our ultimate goal, we take the entire 12 episode arc and make it from 2-hour episodes to 3-hour episodes. Nice. So I've never seen that done before, except for like someone like a Critical Role or like these other big names. So we did it. We launched it. We hit goal number 1 in 3 days, 3.5 days. So I'm still like, what's happening? Wake up, right? Like it's so bananas. But I think we talked about it before. It's community, right?
Yes.
You make a solid product, a solid show that people can resonate with, that actually has like emotionality. It's the same reason why people like Critical Role, right? Like the characters are real, like they're real characters and you can relate to them and you can see yourself in them, and then they want more. It's like when you see a movie and you're like, man, I can't wait for the sequel to that movie, right? And that's what we said. We said, hey, if you want the sequel, here's what we need, right? We the only way we're funded is by our Patreons, is by your tips on stream. So like if we are going to dedicate a bunch of time to this season, here's what we need to do. And so now over the course of 5 months, we're actually going to release one-shots every month leading up to that, to tell a story that happens in the in-between time. Oh, cool. So yeah, we've now like just doubled up production value on this thing. It's insane. So
that sounds
and we all owe that to our community. Like we just said, we put it out there and they were like, yep, we want this done. And I was like, oh, you guys weren't kidding. You like really want this. That's insane. Yeah.
They
so
put
I'm
their
blown
money
away
where their mouth was.
Yeah. I'm blown away every single time. So like,
yeah.
So do I think that like that dream of like the production studio is possible? Sure. I have no reason to believe it's not possible, right? Like it's you know, you have $1 in a dream, you got to go somewhere, right? So like,
where do you build it though? You moved to LA?
No, I think all of us that I have that want to start this thing, because there's a bunch of us that are like, you know, we could lend our individual talents to this big thing. We all resonate with the East Coast. LA is swamped. LA has all kinds of stuff, but the East Coast doesn't. So we're going to keep it here. We're going to keep it on the East Coast. And it's gonna be like the New York to LA thing, right? We're gonna have the East Coast, Biggie and Tupac, right? it's gonna be unMade Gaming versus Critical Role.
All right, I'm gonna throw some money at unMade Gaming,
right?
They're gonna win.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what happens, right?
East Coast won last time, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about it, right, it's like Critical Role was a game between 6 or 7 friends in a house.
Their first episode sucked.
Yeah, on a fold out plastic table, and it started for one of their birthdays.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So one of the players was like, "Hey, I really want to get into D&D. It's my birthday. Let's do a birthday game."
And they did it with Pathfinder.
Yeah. They started with Pathfinder. Yeah. So the first year of Critical Role was Pathfinder. It wasn't even streamed. So by the time we got the streamed version, they'd been playing at home, like on a card table, like the rest of us schlubs. And then if you look back at the production quality of the first season, again, much like the terrible production quality I had, like there was like one table with one big camera and everyone was smashed into the camera. Yeah. It was like, and then chat was going like a mile a minute on the screen and you couldn't read anything.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and look where they are now. They have their own production studio. I love that they left that up too. Yeah.
It would be very easy when they did the rebranding and jumped off of Geek and Sundry to just like disregard that. Sorry about that beep.
Yeah.
Crowd.
But yeah, that's where their roots are, right? Like, I mean, we still have videos that like I'm not proud of comparatively that are up on our YouTube channel. Like, granted, we don't have our original videos, but like I can't help that. They got deleted before I started archiving on YouTube. Yeah. So like, I think the fact that they can come from humble beginnings and be where they are now. Granted, like they do have a modicum of fame attached to their name in general, individually.
It doesn't matter what they do; they crap gold right now.
Right, which definitely helps the fact that they're all accomplished actors and voice actors. Doesn't hurt, but like it just shows you they can go from humble beginnings and boom, they skyrocket. So like, there's no reason to think you can't, and that's. Obviously the hubris of anyone on YouTube, right? Is why are you making YouTubes? Because you have the audacity to make videos on YouTube. It's really what it is, right? Like that's what no one talks about. It's like, why did you start a channel on YouTube? I don't know. I thought I could, and no one stopped me. So here I am, right? Yeah.
It's so funny because my wife's family is like pretty well off. They're all well educated.
Sure.
And so I was. During COVID, or right before it, I was getting back into car sales. I've been doing sales for years. And with COVID, we did the shutdown. Well, then they wanted me to come back in May. And I said, I don't know. And things were starting to do well with YouTube again. Like it was starting to grow. I'm like, I'm just not going to do it. My wife didn't want me to go back to work anyway. She's like really worried about COVID. And so I didn't. And so my father-in-law, my mother-in-law, everyone's like, so are you going to go back into sales? Like, what are you going to do for a job? And I'm like, well, I've been doing this YouTube thing. Like, I'm making a couple dollars a month. They don't understand it. And they're just like, well, that's not a career. And like my brother-in-law is a lawyer. He's in my BlackRock game. He does not understand the stuff whatsoever. Like to him, he's like, you can't make money with that. His daughter just graduated high school a year ago. Yeah. And her boyfriend at the time was a film major in college. He's like, that's not a respectable career. Like, you can't make money with that. Like, because he's old school. He doesn't understand how 2020, like, things you can do now. Yeah. But it's funny because I've always wanted to turn my channel into more too. Like I want it to eventually be people who want to run games. I want to pay people to run games. Yeah. And maybe produce for a little bit, but then I want to hire people to produce stuff as well. So I don't even have to do that. Like I want to become a media company. I want to then turn that into a publishing company. And I don't know the order. I have a business plan. It's, it's like, oh, this to do this to do this. And I don't have like an order, like I'm going to do this before I do that. But do you have a well thought out business plan?
No.
You're just like, whatever happens.
Yeah. So like, I just call it shotgunning spaghetti, right? It's like, when you shotgun, like you just pepper spray things or like to throw spaghetti at the wall and see what sticks. I'm just shotgunning spaghetti at whatever is around. Right. We went in with no plan. We burnt out immediately 5 years ago. And then we rebuilt from the burnout. And then like now we're finally at a place that right now we're paying our whole cast. So anyone you see on stream is paid. Now, caveat to that is they are paid based on the crowdfunding essentially of our community. So we have what's called a corruption bar on screen. And the corruption bar is $10 per player. So if it's a 5-player game, it's $50. And anytime that bar gets filled, the GM has narrative control to do whatever the hell they want to us. It can be good, it can be bad, it can be sideways, right? So if the audience wants to interact with the game without buying a nat 20, buying a nat 1, buying advantage, right? They can just fill that bar, and then boom, the GM's like, okay, I'm going to make this big narrative scene that's going to be crazy, right? But then every dollar that goes into that bar gets split among all the players.
Nice.
So this year was the first year we started like officially doing that, like fully. And season 1, we paid everybody out, and then season 2, everyone yelled at me because I didn't include myself as a player. So then I started including myself as a player, and everyone said, "Great job, now do it more." Because I still struggle with it. I'm of the mentality where like I will take money in and I will use that money to pay for other people's dreams and hopes and whatever, right?
Yeah.
So like I think over half of our Patreon goes right to my editor. I just send it right to him every month.
Nice.
So because I want a quality product and he wants to edit. So I'm like, let's meet in the middle here. Here's money, you edit, and then hopefully that grows into more people on the Patreon and it's a circle, right? Mm-hmm. So yeah, we have no plan. We have no idea what we're doing. I am flying by the seat of my pants. That, though. Yeah.
Like I've gotten away from my business plan. I did it last year when I was about to launch my channel again. And then like right away, I needed a new laptop. I'm like, oh, well, I'm already over my budget. Like I've already blown my next year's budget.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to hold myself responsible. But like I wasn't going to do these chats. COVID led to me doing these chats.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm just like, I want to do this. And I've been talking about doing it for years. And Dave kept saying, you don't want to do it. It's not worth it. And I'm like, yeah, but I like chatting with people.
Yeah.
And then I'd listen to them and I wouldn't do it. And then it was funny. I started doing it, and they started doing it again at the same time.
Yeah, they got stuck in COVID too. They're like, "All right, we're bored. Let's go do these." Yeah.
I haven't asked Dave about it yet. I was about to ask him the one time when I was on. I was like, "So I thought you said these weren't worth it."
Yeah, I mean, it depends. It depends what your worth is, right?
And your goal.
So like, if you say I'm going to do an hour of production on this interview, right? And the worth that you place on there is when I make the video and then I put it on YouTube, it will then pay for an hour of my time. It won't.
Right. Nope.
This is never going to pay for an hour of your time. Right? No. It may in 10 years pay out this one video for an hour of your time.
This will probably, just so people know, this will probably make 2 cents.
Yeah.
Like maybe 3 cents if we're lucky.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, a peek behind the curtain, I put out 3, 6, 9, 12, on average, 12 videos a month on the YouTube channel. And I think I make $8 a month on YouTube. Yeah. So like, this is never going to see $1. So if that's what your worth is, how many views per video or in general, like per month, average. It's probably like in the thousands per month.
Yeah.
We usually get like 100 and change a video. Okay. It depends because it's a story arc, so like it goes like the first video of Void has like 5,000, but then the second one has like 2,000, and then it'll level out at about 200 an episode. So like once you have like the people who really want to watch the show, which takes a little bit of time with a narrative arc, whereas if you're making like a talking head video, that's what it is. It is what it is. That's the one video. So we have like a slow burn. But like, yeah, if the value you're placing on the video is the monetary return, it's not worth your time for sure. Like you could take this hour and do anything better that would net you more than 2 cents. However, if you enjoy the interaction with chat, if you enjoy the interaction with the person and genuinely enjoy talking and learning about people, and it pays in spades, right? Yeah. And I mean, you joke about how you wanted to start one and then Dave started one. I've been toying with the idea of starting one forever. It's called Graveside Chat. They play on Fireside Chat.
I love it.
We are clearly grave and undead themed in my channel.
When does your launch? When are you launching it?
About 2 years ago when I told people I'd launch it and then haven't launched it yet. So any day
when's
now,
the first episode? Come on, man.
Any day now.
I want to challenge you by the end of August.
By the end of August, do one? Okay, all right. Gauntlet thrown. By the end of August, I will have at least one episode of a Graveside Chat.
Beautiful.
But yeah, that's what it comes down to. It's like you have an idea, and you're like, oh, it's a bad idea. No one's doing it. And then you're like, I waited too long. Everyone's doing it. Well, who am I going to talk to? Who cares who my friends are? Like, they're not famous. Like, and then you just talk yourself out of it, and then you don't do it. That's why I don't have YouTube videos.
The first couple I did of this, I actually almost quit because I don't know if it was my first two guests or my second and third, they both bailed on me like last second. So I was like, I guess I'm just going to do this by myself because I said I was going to do a stream. Not my patrons, but my Discord and everybody, I've got people saying they're going to be there.
Right.
People showed up, we talked, then my next couple guests started coming and it was great. But I really almost didn't do it just because of a couple bad experiences. It ended up being okay because of my viewers. So
and it has that it's the weird thing, right? Because like you're a talking head on a TV box, right, doing your thing, but like I'm a sensitive boy, right? Like I did a Patreon thing where I was like, let's do a movie night every month, and everyone was like, yeah, movie night, that sounds great. Yeah. And then for like a year, I did movie night, and 2 people showed up, and I was like, this is discouraging. You all said you wanted a movie night, and then it turns out you're lying.
Right. So you just watch a movie, and other people are supposed to watch.
They watch. we did it. We had like a program that you could watch at the same time as us, right? So we'd all be watching one screen, like a Twitch stream, but with a movie on it. Nice. But I mean, it comes down to like scheduling, availability, and do I want to watch this movie? So everyone likes the concept of a movie night
until you watch something they don't like.
But the practice of a movie night is very different. So we no longer do that. So like, there's all those things where you're like, again, like you said,
this is your yo-yo thing. This is you interviewing the yo-yo company.
Exactly. Yeah. Like you said, when you started, you had your 2 first interview shows is like you had 2 cancellations. You're like, okay, well, everyone seemed really down for this, and it turns out they're not, so I guess I'll just not do it. And then you never do. Right. So like certain things, that's how they fall to the wayside. You're like, all right, well, this is discouraging. No one wants to sign up for this.
Yeah.
Like we were talking about earlier with like paid GMing. It's like, okay, well, no one wants to sign up for my paid GMing thing, so I guess I'll just take that off Patreon or whatever, right?
I used to have it on my Patreon, and no one bought in. I was like, and at the same time, though, I don't blame them because I do not think I'm a good GM at all. Like I wouldn't pay me.
I don't either. I think I think I'm an okayish DM at best. And then when I say that, chat's gonna yell at me, and then I'm gonna get shit in my Discord.
Show how much you love his GMing by going and supporting him on Patreon.
Yeah, it's again, it's that free market thing. It's like they will prove you otherwise, right? Like something about your GM style is what they want, right?
Yeah.
Or it's the chance to play with someone they look up to for whatever reason, regardless of what they think your style is.
Or someone who's consistent, who's not going to bail every Friday night. Mm-hmm. Which I'll be honest with that too. So actually, that's an interesting thing. So I don't know about you, but I sometimes have days where I call it my rut, where I'm like, I just am not feeling it. It might be depression. I don't know. I've never had it diagnosed. But I'll like be ready to play a game. I'll be excited, and then like 2 days before, I can feel a buildup of not wanting to do it. Day comes where I'm like, oh guys, I'm not feeling it today. Got all this other stuff going on. And I've had to cancel games because of it, and I feel bad. How do you handle that? Because we've had these talks before. You force it?
Very unhealthily, probably. Yeah, like if I had a psychiatrist, they'd be like, hey, that's not great.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, the majority of the time, 99% of the time that I'm having one of those moments, I will force it. And it always, for me, that. And for me, and this is personal experience, I'm not a doctor.
Yep.
Talk to someone else. I always come out at the end thankful that I did.
Yes.
If it's a bad day, I'll reach out to my table and be like, hey guys, just so you know, I'm having a not good day. I do want to play with you because I value your time. I want to play this game. I like the story. But just so you know, if I'm off my usual game, that's why. Yeah. If it's worse than that, I'll even reach out to my community and say, hey guys, you know what? I'm having a real shitty day. It may affect the game. We're still going to play. We're going to do this. Come hang out for everyone else that's there, and then the players hype, the chat's hype. And then I'm like, you know what? This is awesome. This is cool. Yeah. On days where it's just like a crushing, black abyss of that kind of thing, I will reach. I have, I can probably count it on one hand the number of times I've been like, hey, I can't do it. I can't do it. I just can't. And everyone is understanding because there is absolutely times where players at my table come to me and they say, hey, Mike, I can't. And I say, okay, take the night off. We're going to keep playing. You take your night, watch the show if you want, take a nap if you don't, have a drink, have some ice cream, just hang out, do whatever you got to do. we'll loop you back into what you missed in the story, and we'll pick you back up next episode. There's no like narrative punishment. There's just like you just weren't in the scene.
There shouldn't be narrative punishment.
Right?
That should, like, I've seen people say, "Oh, someone didn't show up, so I killed their character." Like, don't ever do that crap. Like,
nope,
drives me nuts.
No, we do the World of Warcraft. We /follow, and you're just along for the ride. And then when you come back the next episode, you're like, oh, I remember all the things that happened last week, even though I wasn't there. Miraculous, because like we're humans, man. We're not robots. Like you're gonna have a bad day. Like you're gonna want to call in sick. And like, who am I to be like, no, you promised you'd be here every episode. So like, and then there's like, there are people out there that are like, oh, well, you missed an episode, so that's one less paycheck you get, right? When I'm like, no, if you sign up for the episode, if you miss 4 episodes, you still get paid the whole 1/5 of whatever that we make for that episode, or whatever we make for that series.
In other words, unMadeGaming is a great channel to be associated with as a player.
Yeah, I guess.
It's paid vacation. No,
we're trying to be, right. Like we're trying to be all those things. It's like, I mean, yeah. That's what,
I love everything you guys stand for. Like, and getting to know you in the last 5 years, like I feel like you do things very morally and ethically right. You know what I mean?
I try, right? As far as like, I'm ignorant to a lot of things, so I have a lot of. I describe it. I was just talking about this the other day. I describe it as the not to be political, but the George Bush method, right? I feel like George Bush realized he was not very smart. So he surrounded himself with people that were way smarter in their individual fields.
Right.
And so I understand that I too am not very smart. So I surround myself with people who are way better at their job than I am. And then I go, please, sir, can I have some help? And I reach out with my bowl of porridge.
But that is smart. That actually shows how smart you are if you can ask somebody for help.
Yeah.
Like, worst that anyone's going to say is no.
Right.
Right. And if you don't ask, I mean, you're just going to sit there and fumble through stuff and never get where you need to be.
Right. The answer is no with no one's help to begin with. And if I ask for help, the worst they can say is no, and I got to figure it out anyway. So like, why not? Right. Like there's always that trope of like, you know, the woman and the man are driving somewhere and the woman was like, let's just ask for direction. He's like, no, I have a great sense of direction.
That's me.
I'm like, there's no, for me, I'm like, what? I don't have pride. Like what? Like, so what? We pull over and ask for directions. Like, I'm not going to be hurt by it. Like, I'm dumb and I GPS everywhere. I GPS to my mom's house. I lived there for like half my life. I know how to get there.
You GPSed your way around Gen Con 50.
Yeah, exactly. So like why?
They're at this restaurant. Let's just GPS over there.
Yeah, let's walk over there. Yeah, why would I not ask for help? When I first started streaming, I did the same thing. I reached out to, I saw several people who were doing something similar, and I was like, hey, I'm new. I want to do what you're doing. Please help. And sure, 10 people said no or didn't respond at all, but one person said yes. And I learned from that one person. And then I did it again. And then I did it again. And I did it again. And then it was like inclusivity. And I was like, how do I do this? And they were like, here's how. And I was like, great, thank you. And I was like, how do I do this? And they were like, here you go. Thank you. And I was like, outstanding. So I have gotten where I am by asking for help and then taking actionable advice on the help that I was given.
That's probably the best advice for anybody watching this, considering getting into streaming or YouTube or any of this stuff. Blog writing. Don't hesitate to reach out. Like we have behind the scenes, we have communities too that have been set up. Like Cody set up a good one. There's a couple others that have been set up for helping people with these things. There's like publishing communities. If you want to write your game world or your own RPG system, there's all these things behind the scenes, and you'll never find them if you don't ask for help. But if like you reached out to someone like me and you're like, hey, I'm starting a YouTube channel, I might be able to help get you into that group and give you these resources, you know?
Yep. And I mean, like, we are entirely fallible, right? Like I have reached out to Juce and said, hey man, I want to start a YouTube channel. And he's giving me advice and I haven't taken a lick of it. And you can tell because I don't have any YouTube videos.
I don't take my own advice either.
So like I've asked Nerdarchy for advice. I've asked Cody for advice. I've asked Jacob for advice, Juce for advice. Like, and I haven't taken any of it because I don't have a damn single YouTube video because I'm terrified of making a YouTube video.
2 years ago, you were asking about doing a talking head video. That's right. I was like, just
and
do
I
it, man.
still don't have one because I am a flawed human being, and though I am charismatic on screen, I am very terrified of people saying you make shit content. because then I'll just fold like
it
a wet
happens.
cardboard box.
Yep.
So for all the confidence and charisma that you think I exude on screen, no, it's a persona, and I'm soft and fragile like an ice cream cone.
And everyone here, like all the people from your Discord, they're like, your stuff would do really well on YouTube. Like all of them. You would blow me away within like 6 months, I bet.
And then I don't do it. And then I'm like, every time I'll get yelled at when I'm like, I started a new show called Arise and Grind, because our slogan at the beginning of every show is Arise, Minions, and Welcome to the Graveyard. Or welcome to whatever show we're on.
I love the theme.
So we do an Arise and Grind on Saturday morning talk show. We did our first one last week. We're doing our second one tomorrow. And we talked about like just the state of things going on. And I think 10 or 15 minutes of it was my community yelling at me in Twitch chat to start making YouTube videos. And I'm like, guys, I know. I just have to do it, right?
Do it on, or just do it on the medium you're used to. Do it on Twitch.
Yeah.
That's how you would. And then just port it over to YouTube after.
Well, it's a different style. I'll just give you 90 excuses right now, right?
I know you will.
Like,
I know.
It's a different style. I would have scripted, and then I'll be distracted by Chad and
I don't
ADD,
script anything.
And
I mean, it shows in my content, but I
mean, I don't think I can script either, because like I'm just like a flow of consciousness.
Yeah. Bullet point, man.
But
and
like,
just read it off look at it, and then talk, and just edit the look down out.
Yeah. And that's the thing too, is like there's so much advice. Like you're a bullet point guy. Cody has a teleprompter, with a full script.
Lair does
reads. Like TM Lair does something different. Dave does something different. Dave just has no script. They just say things.
Yep.
So it's like you ask all your friends who are YouTubers to be like, hey man, help me. And they're like, here's what I do. Here's what I do. Here's what I do. I'm like,
it's overwhelming
because you all do 10 different things.
So Tim Kearney used to say, and I use this all the time now, progress over perfection. I love that one. You'll never be able to run before you walk. It's a common phrase. Like, just take that first step. Just like with your Twitch. Just like your first stream. It was in the basement with that crappy camera, man. Oh, it. Gary Vaynerchuk says it. Just turn the camera on and talk.
The problem is, I feel, right, here's my own fear and insecurity. I feel like our production has leveled up so much since our first stream.
No, that's an excuse.
Right? And now I am afraid to make a YouTube video of the quality of our first stream and go, ooh, that's bad. I want to make I bet they would, all right? I want to make a YouTube video at the quality we're at now, which is it's never going to happen, because your first thing always sucks. And I'm not ready to accept the suck.
But you need a really good videographer.
Right. And I don't have that. It's me. I'm doing everything. I do everything. I do almost everything myself anyway. So it's just going to be trash. So I'm like, I'm just not ready to accept that my first video is going to be hot garbage. What I need to do is just like bang out 5 or 6 trash videos, upload them all, and just walk away from YouTube and just like see what happens.
I still sometimes I'll turn my camera phone on and sit in the car while my kids are playing at the playground. Be like, well, not the playground. Now we go to an open field where no one's at. But I'll like get out of the car. I'm doing a video, and then I'll just do a quick video. I filmed 3 last week that are never going to see the light of day. Yeah,
I remember the Tim Kearney ones where he would just be in his car, or was it Barker who was just like walking outside, and half the video you just hear the wind.
Yeah, but 100 people watch it.
Yeah, 100 people came to a live stream, and I'm over here like, what the hell's happening?
Yeah, dude. Like, if you think about it, the content you consume, there's going to be haters. Like, I remember,
of course.
I remember some of my biggest trolls from like 5 years ago. I actually don't get a lot of trolling now. They might dislike the content I do, and they'll tell me in the comments. Yeah. But I gotta like look at it. Like, what are they saying? Why do they dislike it? They might not say the specifics. It might be because I'm not as good at delivering the information as Cody, or they think it's clickbaity because of the title. Like, okay, whatever. Like, like you're not gonna please everybody.
Yeah. See, I'm not even concerned with the hate. Right? Like whatever you put in the comments, whether it's a bad comment or a good comment, or you thumbs up or thumbs down, YouTube reads it all as one thing, engagement, and it helps the video no matter what you click. My panic is I take all this time and put out the video, and then I watch the view count go to 1 and then to 10 and then just stay there. And I go, okay, now 11, please.
Yeah.
12,
I check my metrics too much too.
Then it's the free market deciding that's trash and no one wants to watch it. And I'm like, oh, that's.
But it's not always the free market. It's just they didn't get on YouTube that day,
that's
so
true.
It's not showing up as their most.
That's true. Or you watch the analytics of the time watched, and it's like, it's so many people tuned in for the first 10 seconds, and then no one tuned in.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well,
the average watch time.
That hurts.
Yeah, that's something I'm trying to work on. Is my average watch time.
Mm-hmm.
For a while, when I redid my channel, it was getting up to about 50%, which I was really,
Yeah.
or 40%, which is low. Like if you're a successful channel, you're looking at well over 50-60%.
Mm-hmm.
Because then YouTube's like, here's this video that everybody likes, and it puts it
Yeah.
out to other RPG people. So that's something I need to work on. But I'm also just starting to get back into doing videos.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, I've been doing so many live streams and games, and I'm loving it. I'm not burnt out for the first time ever after running stuff for 8 months consistently.
Yeah.
But as soon as you start doing it, within a couple weeks or a month, you're just gonna be like, why did I not do this sooner?
Yeah, it's like getting out there, doing it, and then adapting the workflow to just continuously pump out the videos is the thing.
Yep.
It's that same like Bilbo Baggins thing, right? The scariest part of the adventure is the first step, and I'm like, I don't want to leave my hobbit hole. It's safe here
I like
on
my
Twitch.
Shire.
Yeah, it's safe here on Twitch. I know what I'm doing. Everyone seems to like me. I make decent content. YouTube is scary. I mean, so far, like I post all my videos to YouTube, and they do well enough. Like I think we have like an 8 or 9% like complete watch through thing, but at the same time, we're also 2-hour videos. So like I get it.
They watch them in batches usually.
Yeah, I base the quality of the video on the amount of people talking about it. So like when the Discord blows up, or when I have people that I see commenting, and then I see those commented people come in the Discord, I'm like, okay, so you liked the video enough to comment, and then you liked what we were producing enough to join the actual community.
Yes.
And then the biggest thing that blows my mind is there's a couple of people in chat right now that do it, is they will go out and be like, hey, you stranger on the internet, go watch the show. And I'm like, really, guys?
Right.
You think they should watch my show? So like when you have your community being like, this is the best show ever, go watch it now, I don't care what you're doing. I'm like, oh my god,
I love that.
So touching. But I just, YouTube scares me. Like talking head, it's terrifying. I mean, I wanted to do YouTube, I wanted to do podcasts. 2020 we launched our podcast. So like,
and we haven't even talked about that yet.
Yeah, we didn't.
We're already an hour and 10 minutes in. Dark Fortunes. That's our podcast.
If you guys like D&D, which I know early on, if you were here, I said I don't normally play D&D. We took a safe-ish bet with our podcast. We wanted to launch our first podcast, like officially podcast, as D&D, because it has its namesake. So the cast is actually a decent cast. So we have myself. I'm okay. We have a friend of mine, Johnny, goes by Video Store Cowboy. He's like a GM in resident on the channel almost. We have I believe, technically an ex-Twitch partner, McLokin. He's an amazing, fantastic role player, was big in the Twitch RP community, was big in the Twitch tabletop community as well. We have V Muse, the crafting muse, from YouTube fame. She's over there.
WizKids employee.
WizKids, yep. She's an amazing friend of mine. She's my big sister, and in real life, not in game. We have a blast. And then we picked up a, I'll say relatively unknown for the spaces that we exist in Rory. Rory is a TikToker, which is strange to say. I was going through TikTok and I saw this guy had posted a bunch of like D&D videos and played D&D. And he was like a nerd with like, a Sephiroth poster and like a sword on his wall. And I was like, okay, I can dig this, dude. Yeah, I was like, I can dig this. And he like was oozing charisma, and he did like amazing voices and characters on TikTok. And I was like, you know what? What's up, dude? You want to come play in a podcast? And he was like, yeah, sure. And I was like, okay, it pays. He's like, all right, cool. That's great too. And I was like, all right, cool. Come on. So we have a guy named Rory, who is an author, TikToker extraordinaire. And we have this little game. Like I said, we're currently sitting at about 25,000 downloads in the course of 5 months, which is crazy to me. But we're using the Humblewood setting by Hit Point Press. So we're all adorable animals. But we took it out of the Humble Wood, which is the actual setting from the book, and we moved it to the ocean. So we are adorable animal pirates. And yeah, we're on the high seas of adventure, just trying to like piece together this mystery, like treasure map, we think. And we're having a blast doing it. Like our character interactions are great. You'd think we've been playing together for years.
That's the best.
And this is the first time I've actually ever played with V. This is the first time any of us have played with V, actually. the first time any of us have played with Rory. So like we're a relatively new table together. And we're having so much fun. We have a lot of like little jokes, little in-character jokes. And we're just having a good time. I haven't heard a single bad thing about the podcast. It's doing well from what I understand. I don't know a lot about podcast metrics, but everyone who does seems to tell me we're doing really well. And I believe them because I'm ignorant. So I just go, all right, that's great. Thank you for telling me that. And we're having fun. So, I mean, if you want a punchy, well produced, that's one thing I will say. That's the best thing about this podcast. We have a crack shot editor who puts way more hours than he's actually charging me into editing the podcast. There's like sounds, there's like subtle noises, there's music. It's like the lapping of waves on the ship, like you just hear in the back of your head. It's so insane. The subtle things, like we'll say like, oh, and he leans back and the chair creaks, and he'll spend an hour finding the perfect like chair creak noise to put in there. And I'm like, why did you do that? He's like, because you said it made a sound. And I was like, that's insane. So yeah,
get that man a raise. No.
Right, the quality of the editing is outstanding. I think that's what makes the podcast, the game is fun. The editing takes it to a new level.
Yeah.
Right? So if you want a D&D 5e podcast, if you're running low on episodes because of COVID and you're trapped at home and you're listening to podcasts every day, check out Dark Fortunes podcast. It's everywhere that podcasts are, and it's free and it's fun. And if you like it, tell a friend.
Yeah,
because we're having a blast.
It is really good quality. I've listened to 1 or 2 episodes. It's been a while. It was when it first started. I listened to it, and I was talking about it, I think, with Jake from Mini Terrain Domain.
Yeah.
Because I think he listens to all of them, or has listened to all of them. And he's like, yeah, it's really good quality. Like we spent like 30 minutes after one of our D&D sessions in person together with like Luke and Nate, just talking about how good it was.
Yeah. So. V is a player in one of Jake's games, and so she does like a little pitch at the end of their stream. Yep. And so Jake started listening to it, and he's like, "Dude, this is good. This is really good."
Yep.
Thanks, man. Like that's a big deal.
Oh, for sure. Because like now he's like, gosh, he's producing all sorts of crazy stuff too himself. Like big stuff. Like, I'm not even going to begin to talk on that. I'll have to have him on for a talk episode.
Yeah, sometime. You should absolutely. Yeah, he's doing a lot of stuff.
So, not to go back on this, but Casper the Ghost said, "Is there anything we can do to push the baby bird out of its nest to YouTube?" It sounded like.
No, man. It's just me, right? Like everyone and their mom has been encouraging to do it. It's just my own personal insecurity that I just need to get the hell over and do. And like, listen, I did the podcast I really wanted to do. I started the Rise and Grind, and the community's already keeping me honest on a Rise and Grind episodes coming out. Juce has just challenged me to an interview episode by the end of August. So let me get those, and then we'll go from there. Let me build up to it. I've been building up for 2 years. Give me a few more months. I'm proud of you. I got this.
You are doing your baby steps, but you have to. I mean, So last year I was taking on too many responsibilities. Back when I got back into doing my channel, right before that I was doing stuff with the local gaming convention, and that was quick. It was unpaid, and it was basically, hey, you get a free badge if you want to work all year long constantly and do all this work. And somebody had told me then, if you're saying yes to everything, then you're definitely saying no to more things that you don't even realize.
Yeah.
And so by committing to all these different things, I wasn't doing my videos. I wasn't focused on anything for me. I was doing too much for others. And so and I think it was Jake actually. He's like, sometimes you gotta say no.
Yeah.
In order to do things. And it's not because you're because it's not a good opportunity or anything like that. It's just you're not going to do what you want to do if you're always saying yes to people. So sometimes distance yourself from that stuff to focus on like your Twitch or your other stuff, your podcast.
And we went hard when we first started Twitch, and we burnt out in like the first like 6 months. So like ever since then, I've been cautious about how many things I start undertaking. Like I want to do something and then get the flow in.
Yeah.
And then once the flow is good, then I'll start working on something else. Mm-hmm. So 2020 is unfortunately for me, it's the year that we had to step away from the charity streams, because running the charity stream for 12 hours, running production, finding GMs, finding all the players, doing all that stuff alone became too much for me. And I couldn't pay anyone to help. I didn't have enough money for it. And so I figured if I need to make more money, I need to make more content. So to be able to do the podcast, I had to step back from the charity streams, which sucks because like at first I felt like I'm not doing charity in an effort to make more money personally. And I'm like, that's selfish. But it was like so many other friends were like, it's not selfish because you can always go back to charity. But if you don't have, the spoons or the spell slots or whatever you want to say, if you don't have that, you can't do it. Right. And maybe building yourself up, you'll have now the money to hire someone to help you do the charity streams.
And now you can raise more money.
And then you can raise more. So I was like, okay, I'll buy into this, this theory you have here. So we stepped back from that and we launched the podcast and then our shows starting doing better on the channel. They were raising more money for the casts and everything like that, which in turn, when you're paying your casts, they talk about the show more. Like they're just more excited about it. Not saying that's a direct correlation all the time, but like it's a small incentive, I think. And because they know the better the show does, the more they get paid at the end of the day, which is that's great incentive to me at least. And so the production has gone up, the podcast has gone up, the production for that's gone up. Now we have the Arise and Grind thing going up, and I wouldn't be able to do any of these things had I not taken a step back. So like I'm slowly rolling out more things, and as those more things go, my eventual goal is to be able to pay someone to help me do more charity stuff, and get back to where we were last year with charity kind of thing going on. Because it is important to me to like, I've always been of the mindset where like, if I've been given, because that's how I feel about it. If I've been given a platform, I didn't take it. I was given. People were like, oh, this is okay. So if I've been given a platform, the literal least I can do is use my platform to promote good. And so for like the first few years of our show, we would do a charity stream every year, every month for the year for Extra Life for sick kids. And so I want to get back into doing that, because it honestly helps. I got to know the people who run the charity in my state, because it's a per state kind of thing. Oh, cool. And I got to physically see children that were benefiting from the amount of money we were able to raise as a community in my local children's hospital, which is insane. And so like it's one thing to like donate, but it's a different thing to donate and then see the faces your donation affects. And so to then take that away, I was like, my heart.
I wish you had a D-Rock.
So, yeah, I wish I did too, man.
Because then you'd film you going in there, and it could have made like a huge impact. And you could have raised more money,
right. That's the thing. I wish I had that too. But that's my goal is to get back to a place where we're comfortably, pumping out the machine, of content, and then we have enough money to then hire someone to do like charity consulting and help raise more money. Because I think, like I said, if you have a freaking platform, you might as well. What's the worst that happens? You look like a good person? Oh, no, shucks.
Well, now you're making me feel terrible because I'm not donating enough to charity.
Well, here you go. Now here's your call out. Do a charity stream in the month of August to do a charity stream.
Well, so it's funny you say that. So back when we had the One Shot group, we were talking about doing a convention. And I don't, like, when we were talking about it, because this started in 2015, the talk about it. And we used to talk about it in all those chats, like, oh, we could do this. We're already running games. Like, basically now we'll just find a way to host it through a website, which I had a website that I was just going to post it through. And we would do stuff like that. Well, then Brigade Con happened and they did their stuff, which was cool. And we just participated with that and encouraged everyone to go there. But ever since then, because I like, what everyone's trying to raise money for. But I've always been like, man, we should raise money for something more like a cancer, or rather than like, hey, let's get games to kids and stuff like that. I wanted to focus on like pediatric cancer. So one that's a big deal to me in Michigan, the football team had a former quarterback in the 90s. His son, who was my daughter's age, had DIPG. It's brain cancer, basically instant death, like death sentence within a couple years.
Sure.
And when we moved back to Saline, my daughter would have been in his same grade at the same school. Well, he died like right before my daughter moved back there. And so the school was impacted by it. I've always been like, if I'm going to do a charity, that's going to be what it is. Yeah. And I've still hung on to the idea for 3 years now that I want to do like an October or November, like online convention where all of the money goes to that. So,
no balls. You won't do it.
Look at you. Look at
that's
you.
that's the thing is you have to have that exact passion, right? So like I did one for kids because like I am a giant child and I don't have any. I don't intentionally plan on having any, but I love kids. Like
you're a great uncle.
Like, yeah, I'm a great uncle. I've always said, like, if you like get to know me, one of my favorite jobs I've ever had was I used to work for the YMCA after school program, which is essentially I just pick up kids from school and we hang out and play games. And I was like, that's the best thing. So we did a kids one, and I was like, you know what? It gives games to kids. It buys equipment for hospitals. It helps pay for surgeries and medical bills. And I was like, let's do that. Yeah. But then I've also done, because I'm a veteran, I've done veteran charity streams. I just did one on Memorial Day. We had a game full of all veterans, and we supported and we raised, I want to say, like over $1,000, $1,000 and change for a veteran charity. And then my best friend and my roommate, his dad recently passed a couple years ago to ALS, and so we've done an ALS charity stream where we raised like $600 or something like that, and then we took that money and then went and did the ALS walk and raised more money, and then combined them all and donated the whole thing. So it's whatever you're passionate about for a charity. Like your audience will see why you're passionate about that, and they'll be like, okay, this is a cause that I can get behind, and I can get behind Juce, who is behind this cause. Like I feel that kind of thing, that empathy.
Well, I've got ideas and everything, like how I would like promote the charity coming up. Like, so I want, like, for example, I want to reach out to the family, you know, but I can't, because they're obviously running the it's called the Chad Tough Foundation.
Sure.
Anything like through, like, if I buy something on Amazon, I'm always donating to that, like, because it's set up real well through there, all that stuff. But I want to reach out to them because they have so much promotional stuff that's already out there, like highly polished, and see if I could use that within like my own content to try and, you know, bring awareness if I'm leading up to that stream. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of a thing. And I know they do a lot of stuff. Like, I don't know how much I could raise, but I know, like, when they do stuff, they get like stuff from U of M football and, you know, professional athletes. They end up selling like hundreds of thousands of dollars of stuff in a weekend sometimes for their stuff. And actually the money that they helped raise, so their son, they managed to get his, for research, get his body off to research. And the findings from their son led to like a huge breakthrough on how the cancer works or something.
Yep.
Because I follow it really closely. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah. So I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it this October.
Do it.
We're just going to do at least a single day stream.
And don't even focus on how much you can raise. Just raise. Right? Like our first year, we raised $300.
Something.
Our third year, we raised $10,000. So like you again, with everything we've talked about today, you have to start somewhere. And any amount of money towards charity is better than no amount of money towards charity. Right. It's very much one of those like, hey, if you can donate $1, donate $1, right? Like that's whatever you can do. Just have clear incentives on your stream and be very clear about like all the money goes to charity. This is the charity we're doing. And then we make sure to like post, like we donated, here's the receipt. And it's all public on the website kind of thing. So I say do it. I say do it. There's no reason not.
So we got a YouTube raid going on from the DM layer.
Is that a thing?
Oh yeah, it's a new thing that Luke has started. So he'll find one, he'll take the link and post it. So I quickly want to throw this out there to the chat since you're just tuning in. I have challenged Mike from unMadeGaming to doing a interview by the end of August. On top of that, he has challenged me to do a charity stream sometime in the next couple months. I'm going to do it in October, I think.
Okay.
And it's going to happen. So, you 23 people in here need to participate in that at least.
Okay. Hold us accountable, right?
Yeah.
I have to make an interview video like this by the end of August, and he has to make a charity stream by the end of October. So hold us to it. You're here. At unMadeGaming on Twitter. You can come harass me, right? Juice, you have so many of them. Master the Game RP. Right?
All the links are below.
Master the Game RP on Twitter. Harass both of us. YouTube comments, etc. Hold us accountable.
Remind us weekly. Just tweet at us weekly.
Yeah, just shout at us.
How's that coming?
All caps, all capitals. Man.
Thanks for the raid, Luke.
Appreciate it. That's honestly like that right there is something I think we need to see more of in the larger tabletop community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like the COVID stuff, everyone's been locked at home and everyone's stir crazy, and we're seeing a lot of bad. But what we need to see is the people who are left standing, right? in the 99 red balloons song, right? The people left standing after the rubble. Those people need to challenge other people to be better than me, right?
And I do better when people like hold me accountable. Like,
yeah.
It's a huge thing. Like, I have to hold myself accountable.
Yeah.
If I don't, it's easy for me to be like, oh, I don't feel like doing something today.
Yeah. And you need that friendly rivalry. It's like, okay, so in October you raised $300 for this charity. Well, screw you, Juice. I'm going to raise $500 for this charity. Let's go. And you'd be like, all right, let's do it. And then that's you do. And
it's fun too.
You know? Yeah. So it is and like that kind of friendly competitiveness is only like good, right? As long as you're doing it for the greater good or for good reasons. Like,
oh, I'm super competitive. It drives me nuts when Cody passed me on YouTube. I hated that. Like, it drives me nuts that Nate from WSD20 has 160,000 subs, and I was one of the first people to ever run a game of D&D for him. Like, it just drives me nuts. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Because I'm competitive. So
yeah, of course. And you have to be. But you have to be in that way that's not like, screw you, I need to get back.
Oh, yeah.
You're right.
No
you have
sabotage.
to be in that, like, yeah. You have to be in that way that's like, okay, well, you hit the goal, and now I always do that, even if I don't say it. I always pick a target, and I'm like, okay, it's Juice. You have this many followers on YouTube. Your views are like, this average is your view count. I'm going to pass you. And then once I do, I'm like, all right, next target, let's go. And like, they might not know. It's just my internal, like, all right, let's go. How do I get better than this person? Let's do this.
Yeah, I'm completely that way. So it's funny because Cody did that video about like Healing Word, I think it was. So I did a video similar about, I think I did that one too. I did Healing Word and I did Spirit Guardians. Yeah. And I remember I felt icky because a lot of people's comments about like it being clickbait. But I was like, oh man, I want to get more views. Like I want to see if this video will get more than Cody's video on the same thing.
Sure.
It didn't.
Yeah.
But that was my goal. I was like, I just want to see if it'll do better than that one.
I had a conversation with like, and this is like some behind the red curtain kind of, I had a conversation with Dave and Cody. And Dave was like straight up, he was like, yeah, this video here, I just stole Cody's video. He's like, I watched Cody's video and I said almost the exact same thing,
right, just
to see what it would do on our view counts. And he's like, and it didn't do anything besides the normal.
I did the opposite.
Like, so yeah,
on the one, because I was like, no, Healing Word's not broken.
Yeah.
But I titled the video Healing Word is OP or something like that.
Yeah.
And so people got pissed when they came to it. They're like, it's not OP. I was like, well, clearly you didn't watch the video. You tuned out after 30 seconds.
See, I'm going to approach YouTube from the Matt Colville kind of thing where it's just like, title, this is what it is. Like, just straight up. Like,
right.
This GM tips session 0. That's it. Facts. These are just both facts about it. But that's how I title all my stuff. Like, that's my style. Yes. Like, I'm like, here's what we're going to talk about. Here's our topic. The end. That's it. That's what you get. You get exactly what I told you. Because it's easier for me. I don't have the capacity. Like, I like clever titles. Like, I always name the episodes of my shows clever titles. Yep. But I don't have like clever titles for facts, for like factual or opinion-based like YouTube channels.
When you go through YouTube though, have you like, or even just on any social media, when you see those clickbait, I use quotes, the clickbait titles, like, I don't know about you, but I'll look at them and I'm like, I don't want to click on this. But yes, I do. And then I click it and I watch it. Ugh.
I don't. I don't watch so many people's content because of that. Like, I watch like Mr. Rex has a series of videos that's like basically this, right? So I'm like, basically Mind Flayers. And I'm like, let's watch that. Or no, sorry, that's RuneSmith has basically, Mr. Rex has what they didn't tell you about Mind Flayers. And I'm like, I want to know
one today.
I want to know what they didn't tell me about Mind Flayers. That's exactly what I want to see. Yep. Right. Or like, I love Jordan, PH is silent. Yes. I love his videos because it's like, you're going to learn about Forgotten Realms and you're going to learn about this thing. And I'm like, great. That's exactly what I want to learn. Because I go to YouTube for to learn something new. Right. Mm-hmm. And like, a lot of the opinion-y stuff, I don't care about. So like, I don't care if Healing Word is OP or not, people are going to take it, and I can't stop them from doing it. So my knowledge of that doesn't help me at all.
When I did a video on it, it's like Spirit Guardians, not only do I voice my opinion, but I try to offer suggestions for DMs, right?
Yeah.
So that video is an example. Like I talk about like ways you can disrupt it, focusing on the concentration.
Sure.
Sure, they might have Warcaster, so they have advantage on their concentration.
Yeah.
Throw more enemies at them, not necessarily try and do more damage, but just try to like make them make more rolls, stuff like that.
See, and then that's where it butts up against my GM style, right? Because like again, I want that punchy combat. I want you to do all those things because at the end of the day, the HP on the monster I just made up, like right now off the top of my head, is 0. The HP is whenever I feel like it dies cool. Yes. So like you can do as much damage as you want to it until like you describe something fucking awesome, or like 2 of your friends are dead and you're like bleeding and you're about to die and you do this one super mega move and I'm like, yeah, describe how you obliterate this guy. Because it's the most cinematic value, right? Like if you walk in and you're like, silence, all the spells, boom, you died. Everyone's like, okay, next. And I'm like, all right, well that was lame, right? So I'm a fan of, maybe I'll make a video about this too. I'm a fan of your monsters should last long enough to be cool, and that's it. And then when they're not cool, they die.
You just did the video, by the way.
Yeah, that was the whole video. Like, that was the whole video. It's a 5-minute video.
If you feel like going and ripping that little couple minutes and making that your first YouTube video.
That's my first one. It's a 2-minute long video about me yelling at Juce.
About how to make your monsters cool.
About how to make your monsters cool. That's my thoughts on it, right? Is your monster should last long enough to be awesome. Yeah. Like do rad shit, get off their one big attack that like, kills 2 people and you're like, oh no. And then you smoke them. Because
clever ways to use NPCs to make a monster look badass too.
Yeah.
That'd be a good video.
Oh, I kill NPCs all the time. Like you walk into a room and there's a guy there and there's like 7 people chained to a wall and he goes, "Rah," and they all die. And you're like, oh no.
Rip their arms out.
That guy just absorbed 7 people's souls out of their mouth and now we have to fight him. Cool. Awesome. Super, super dope.
Actually, that is kind of sweet.
I've done it in one of my campaigns. It's great. Yep. Oh, great. You make like a soul sacrifice chamber, and then you have to fight him. That's awesome. Every time they would fight him, there'd be phases of the battle where he would just rip someone's soul out and then do something, and then they would get him down more hit points, and then he would rip out another soul and do it. And they figured out that to save the greater good, they would have to kill the people themselves to stop him from pulling their soul out, because if they let him continue to do it, he would like annihilate them. So it was a very interesting way that they solved this monster puzzle. Basically.
That wasn't your intention at first, was it? They just literally came up with that and you went with it?
I don't have intentions.
Right.
I don't make a combat with like, here's how you solve the combat.
Right.
I'm very much those kind of people that makes the puzzle, and whenever you give me the coolest solution to the puzzle, that's what solves it. Right. So like, I made the combat to be like gruesome and badass and cool and like a boss combat, and then I just throw it out there. And they were like, "Oh, what if we kill the guy and then he can't absorb the soul?" And I was like, "That sounds cool." And then I let them do that, and I was like, yeah, "It worked." Right. So yeah, there's never a plan, right? It's very much like that scene from Dark Knight where he's like, I don't have a plan, right? Mm-hmm. I'm like a dog chasing a car. I wouldn't know what to do with it if I got it. So that's very much how I approach most tabletop. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I just throw words at the screen and then you guys respond and I go, all right, that worked. Let's see what happens with this next series of words.
And then they think they're so smart for figuring it out.
Yeah. I've had
that happen before.
I am the human Chekhov's gun, right? I just say a bunch of words and then I figure out which ones you picked up on. And then 3 episodes later, I will tie it back to that one thing you picked up on the first episode. And then I'll just keep doing that backwards loop. So it looks like if you're watching it the whole time, it looks like I planned for you to see that 3 episodes later. I didn't. I made it up right then. And I was like, oh, and this connects to this thing.
But that's what makes you a good DM or GM.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to think so, but it's that narrative, it's that style of storytelling. So it's all, you got to find your unique niche in storytelling. So
right,
yeah.
What is your most successful one like that you feel like off the top of your head?
One I've done, the one I've done that people have talked about is there was a season finale of our Curse of Strahd game. The season finale looks so masterfully planned, and it was planned the day before, and I had almost nothing to do with it. But it looks like it was flawlessly executed. So we were wrapping up. They got to Strahd's castle, right? And every single person privately reached out to me and said, I want to do this in the finale. And I was like,
cool.
Done. Right? So like one of them was like, can my character, who's a witch, be secretly have been working for Strahd the whole time? Yep, done. My character is secretly in love with the person who Strahd's in love with. And if he attacks her, I'm going to lose it. Done. Then we had this masterful moment of like, not even GM fiat. It just happened, where the warrior of the group had like Strahd's girl, and he had like a sword to her, and said, if you don't stop attacking my best friend, who was the druid in the party, I will kill her. And I don't know what happened over the course of a turn or two, but the player who was playing the druid like forgot about it, and then he gets attacked, like he gets swatted away by super powerful like Strahd, right? And he says, can I fake like I'm dead? And I said, of course you can. That sounds like a great idea. Yeah. Roll me performance. So he rolled performance, and he nat 20'd on performance.
Oh.
So everyone believed that he died. And then it started to slowly sink into the players. And I was like, hey, fighter, your best friend has just died. And he goes, yep, I understand. And then kills the Strahd's NPC wife, right? The one he's in love with. Kills her. And then the barbarian who was secretly in love with her the whole time loses her mind and like goes ham on Strahd. And then at that point, Strahd was like, awake. And he wakes up the witch, who becomes like a youthful vampire the whole time. And everyone's like, what the hell? And then the druid pops up and he's like, I wasn't actually dead. And then everyone's so confused. And then Strahd kills the fighter, turns him into a vampire. The druid runs away. And then the season ends. And everyone was like, what the hell just happened? That was absolute and utter chaos that was just like woven together so well. And I was like, that's the finale. They were like, what the heck? Yeah,
that's
it was
awesome.
Nuts. It was nuts. That's probably one of my favorite like out of nowhere moments, right? It's just like like you could not have planned that, but it looks like it was so like meticulously thought out. And it was not. It was not at all. It was great. Yeah, I love that stuff.
That sounds so epic. I've never completed a campaign as a GM, ever.
We do short ones, so that's my excuse. So like more often than not, we do 12-episode campaigns.
So how do you do Strahd in 12 episodes, though? Do you just
I don't know. I didn't read the book.
You're like, here's the final encounter. Here's Strahd.
Yeah.
Here's this. Okay, somewhere in there they get.
Yeah, I Googled a handful of things about the new Curse of Strahd game, and then I was like, all right, there's a deck of cards. There's Vistani. there's a town. There's a town called Wallachia or whatever it is, and I was like, all right, let's go. Let's see what happens. So there's a witch in a house that makes bread or something, and then we just went. We went.
That's fun.
The players didn't follow the plot anyway, so it's like I was making it up from the get-go. We did do like a 52-episode campaign and like a 30-something episode campaign before in my homebrew world, and those actually ended, like legit ended. Yeah. But then we try to do like 12-episode campaigns. And then sometimes we extend to a second season, so it becomes like a 24-episode campaign. So
gotcha.
Yeah,
and it's not D&D like most of the time,
right?
Like 99.9% of the time.
Correct. Yeah. A lot of the time, it's not. People are asking. Yes, that season is on. It's on YouTube. It's on my YouTube channel. It's pretty sure it's just called Curse of Strahd.
I don't have the link in the description for that. But
that's all right. It's unMade Gaming.
Yeah, one word.
Here. Hey. Click on my name, and then click on the thing and go there.
There you go.
I think that's how it works. Yeah, that's my favorite thing to do. Is I look like I know what I'm doing a lot of the time, which is why people are like, "Oh, he's a good GM," and I'm like, "No, I'm not. I just make it up."
My worst experience DMing was the best compliments I ever got DMing. Mm-hmm. I had a group of players. There were like 8 of us, and we were starting a brand new D&D campaign. And there was a couple that was like, yeah, we've played D&D before. Like, we're really experienced. And so when we're doing character creation, they're like, we don't want to know each other starting out. We want to like work, like role play coming together. I was like, all right, cool. Here's a tavern. Like this is going to be the easiest thing. There's some dwarves playing some bardic stuff on stage. And it was a shit show. where everyone went their own way. I had a character get arrested, another character
Yep.
kind of defend him, but everyone else was like, oh, I'm not getting involved in that. And so then the whole session was me trying to get them all back together in a logical way in the same place. And at the end of the session, I was so frustrated. Nobody knew I was. The experienced ones were like, wow, did you plan the session that way? Because that was amazing. And I was like, I did not plan that you guys were going to not take any hook.
Yeah.
Like,
I
no
didn't
hooks.
plan any of this, and I hate all of you.
That's how I felt. We had like 1 or 2 more sessions before one couple dropped out because the girlfriend wasn't into D&D. She was like, it's kind of weird trying to like see people talking like character. I don't know. So they dropped out because he couldn't play if she didn't play.
Yeah.
And then that other couple dropped out because they got divorced. And so then we just started a new group with the remaining players. But that was the worst experience I think I ever had DMing, and I got like the best compliments after the game.
Yeah, that's one of my I don't have a lot of like rules on the channel, but like if you're like, hey, I really want to do like a you meet in a tavern, I'm probably gonna be like, no.
Yeah.
No, because like at the end of the day, you have 12 episodes to tell your whole story.
Yes.
So if you spend one whole episode meeting in a tavern, now you have 11 episodes to tell your whole story, and I bet you can't do it.
Nope.
Like, I mean, I'm sure there are people that can, but like, wouldn't you have liked the 12th episode? So why not work behind the scenes in our session 0?
How do you know each
decide why
other?
we know each other,
Yes.
and then we go from there. We media and res that whole thing.
That game right there. So I used to always be like, hey, roll to see how you know the other character. We used the campaign, ultimate campaign from Pathfinder for how each character knew each other. And it always worked great. So then that one time I was like, oh, well, they're experienced. I'll just go with it. They must have like an idea and like to get in character more. I was like, all right, let's do this. Nightmare. Ever since then, I force every group I play, before we play, how do you know the rest of the players? And it's just one connection each direction. So like someone sitting to my right, someone sitting to my left, you just roll for those two. You don't do everybody.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, you were drinking buddies, you were hunting partners, you were colleagues, whatever.
Yeah. I think like half the time we're like, okay, so we're a party. Agree? Yep. All right. Why? Okay, cool. That's it. Now we do that.
Yeah.
And then you can like role play in reverse. Like you're like, okay, oh, you remember that one time at that one bar? And the other person's like, yes, and then you just kind of go from there, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see no reason to like go super heavy on like that kind of stuff. We just make it up as we go along. We play our characters and we learn them as we kind of go, which is great.
I like
the ability to
do
like
that.
yes and
They take that player agency to add to the story in game. Unfortunately, like most of my games have not had players that are comfortable doing that.
Right.
I try to encourage it. My wife is just starting to kind of learn it. And hopefully she does it more, because I've noticed in our home groups they start to, at least with her brother and stuff, they're starting to feed into it a little more. Because like the first time I ever experienced that was Provokers, I feel like.
Yeah.
And that campaign, that changed my gaming like forever. Like I can't talk about it enough. It's the first time, like that first session, it was supposed to be a one shot. Afterwards, we're like, guys, we have something here. We should keep playing. Like this was magical for us. And so we kept playing.
Honestly, that's okay. So that's a talking point right there, right? Is Provokers is in a large part why unMade Gaming exists.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I came home and I started building my own world, and I started delving into all of those guys' channels, right? Yours included, because a lot of them were doing like world building stuff.
Yep.
And then you guys came together for the Provokers. And I said, this is great. I've never seen other people play RPGs on the computer. This is crazy. And then I said, this looks like trash, because you were all using Hangouts and the camera would move. Like anytime you like squeaked your chair, it would like bounce around. And I was like, the production value is atrocious.
Yes.
The story is great.
Yep.
I tell great stories. I bet I could do better production value. And then I tried to and was bad. It was real bad. I feel like I could have done better with Hangouts.
Right.
But yeah, had I not seen other people doing it, I never would have thought to do it myself.
Yeah.
But that's what it was. It was my own hubris that I was like, oh, that's cool. I can tell a good story. Because it was before Critical Role. I was like, I could tell a good story.
Actually, it was around the time they started. It was before they started. And
I was like, I can tell a compelling story. And I was like, and I bet I can do something better than Google Hangouts. And then I tried and failed miserably. And then here we are. 5 years
things weren't
later.
as accessible then, though. Like,
Yeah.
the things now technologically are It's changed so much
Yeah.
in the 4 or 5 years since
Yep.
then. It's funny because like we used to get like 120 people watching live.
Yeah.
Like still to this day, I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
Like for a live play. I mean, I know Twitch has some channels to do that. You probably do that occasionally.
No, God, no. We're
You don't
like
get that
20 to
hype?
30. No, we're like 20 to 30.
See, I didn't
live.
know.
Yeah.
But like,
No.
it just blows my mind that many people would tune in live. The next
Yeah.
day we would check it and it would have 6,000 views.
Yeah, it blows my mind.
Like,
Blows my mind. Yeah, we didn't even hit those kind of numbers on Saber Dice. So
really,
I think we did like high 70s, maybe 100.
Wow.
I think like on our bigger days we got like 130 alive, which was crazy.
We got so much hate for that though too. Like in the one shot group, like there were people who'd be like, "Oh, I love provokers," and they'd be like, "Look, I made this fan art of this character," and all of us were like, "Oh, this is so cool.
This is so cool." Yeah.
And then like all the other people who were the elitists would be like, "Oh, whatever. They're just like puffing them up, blah blah blah. It's not that great." I remember like just hating that, like hated.
Dude, we've started getting fan art and it blows my freaking
Isn't it
mind.
cool?
Like it's one thing when like I paid someone to create art because I'm like, yeah, let's put this on the show. But then when someone's like, hey, I just dedicated 3 hours to making this beautiful picture, I'm like, oh my God. Why did you do that? You're so talented. So it's like it's obscene. People have like there's people in chat right now that have taken characters from our campaigns and put them as NPCs in their campaigns, which is like equally like, oh my God. People have done artwork, people have done like stories about them. Someone wrote a song. I was like, oh, this is insanity. This is crazy. This is crazy. Yeah. So yeah, it's been a real trip, this journey over the last 5 years. So it's been nuts.
So Jason Hunt says that's why one-shots are so hard sometimes. Hard to bring around a character when you know it lasts only 3 hours. So I don't know about you. Do you run one-shots?
I actively avoid them because I don't like them. Spoilers. I'm running them now for my patrons. Sure. And you start in the middle. That's the thing.
Yeah, so with one-shots, I feel like you need... I do it very formulaic. Like, all right, I try to like work out a little of everything, like some role play, a combat, a puzzle, and then a boss fight. And usually it revolves around solving some problem. And there's always some conclusion, whether I kill the characters at the very end and they still succeeded, or they live and they succeeded. And then I let them say a narrative of what happened to their character afterwards. And people seem pretty satisfied with my one-shots. Yeah. I'm probably better at one-shots than a campaign.
I don't mind running them. I just didn't have a good experience running them before. So I got to get back into the swing of running one-shots. Yeah. I like the length of time to like tell like a fully fleshed out story. But like I think a lot of the like well-rounded character you can do in the session 0 and then just throw it to the players to be like, hey, you're encouraged to go back and forth and do your own thing. So that's what I do my best to do. Yeah, or pre-gens that have like those tie-ins built.
I played my friend's working on a game called Rad Wasteland, which we changed some stuff in his rules based on some of my suggestions. We're going to be playtesting it again here very soon. It's based loosely on Genesis, so Fantasy Flight, Star Wars. Narrative dice. His dice are going to be different though. And not just the icons, like the shape, like the sides. Like you might have a D4 with these pictures, and so he's going to have to get custom dice and dice apps done for it eventually. But we're going to be playing that again here soon. But the first time we played, he had pre-gens, and they were tied to different characters, and they had different things in their backstory that tied to the adventure, and it made it really easy to role play certain things. And for me, it definitely made it easier to get into character. Quick. So like I was a robot who was obsessed with a car that I stole, and it just so happened to be like a big plot point in the session.
Okay, that's pretty cool. Yeah,
and then
you gotta have those little minor things to like latch onto in that kind of thing, right? You gotta like make it feel like there was a story before and after, and you're just in the middle of it. Kind of
not a stat block. Don't go into a session with a stat block. It won't work for a one shot.
Yeah,
you 100% attached.
100%.
I don't think there's a lot of comments in there. I can't even read it all quick enough. How many players all together? So you don't like one shots. Now, your 12 session campaigns. Yeah. Now, when you're doing this, because you just said you like to just roll with your players. You don't
Yeah.
like write a lot. So how do you plan out a 12 session campaign without putting a lot of like thought into how things are solved or whatever? Like how do you do that?
I'm a world builder, so I build a bunch of world and then just throw it out there.
Okay.
So if I know how the world works and how systems in the world work, I can just let you go,
Okay.
right? It's like people that like very much know the Forgotten Realms can just sort of spitball whatever you want,
Yeah.
right? I just don't know Forgotten Realms, so I make up my own, and then I know them very well because I made them up. So you have the free range to go wherever you want because
Right.
I'm confident either I have built something or I can build something on the fly about this world because I know how it functions.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And so when you're doing the 12 sessions, do you like have like a plot point for each episode then?
Nope.
Nothing.
Nope. I
You
have a beginning.
no idea.
Yeah, I have a beginning, like the catalyst, and I have the end,
Like this
and
is
that's it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like I have like a boss fight, or I have like the solution to the mystery, or like, that's it. And I start and I end and we kind of go along the way. Occasionally I might have a bullet point about like, here's the start, and then this happens.
This
and
is a
then
twist
this
at like
happens.
episode
Yeah.
4 maybe or 5.
It's not even that. It's just like at some point they'll probably suspect this guy, and it's really this guy, and I just have that written down
Scooby-Doo
somewhere.
thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
Who's under the mask?
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
for sure.
I don't know if I could like so I struggle with campaigns because I like to do homebrew and I like to feed off my players, but like I've never been able to say, oh, okay, I know this is going to be this many sessions or this, because I don't know what the players are going to do and if they're even going to get to that point.
Yep.
One of the things, for example, my Forgotten Throne game, like you said, I had the beginning, I had the end, and I had like a couple bullet points that not had to happen, but would probably happen. And so the players started doing stuff and they ended up mostly off course. Because like when we started the campaign, they're like, we want to be mercenaries. Within a few sessions, they did not want to be mercenaries anymore. And so like some of the stuff I was already thinking about, like for jobs or whatever, changed. So I had to change the narrative, and they still never got to them, or whatever. And when we ended the campaign, luckily it just was like, all right, I'm changing my world now. Now that this is an evil area, like it's ruled by the bad guys. The bad guys won. But yeah, I don't know. It's something I gotta work on. I think I need to watch more of your videos.
Once I make them, I threw myself hard into improv when I first started Twitch. I was like, I'm gonna make a campaign. I'm not gonna plan anything. Let's go. And then I did. We did 36 episodes at 3 hours apiece.
Nice.
And I planned like I would write like 15 minutes before the episode. I'd write the episode. And that was it. And
what do you think of them looking back? Were they good?
They're good. Yeah. It's still a good story. People still tell, like the players still talk about them. The audience that was there still talk about them. I still have notes on them. And then what I do is I had like a living world, like Forgotten Realms, so I would reference back to the events of that campaign kind of thing, or bring an NPC in or something like that. So like, yeah, they were still worthwhile for sure. And they still had a narrative impact on the greater world that I was building. But I learned to improv just by like, throw the baby in the pool kind of thing. And I've just continued it going on. I find it's my comfort zone.
Yeah.
The idea of having, that's why I don't like one shots, because you have to plan the one shot. Whereas like, I just want to throw it out there. And if I throw it out there in improv, we have 12 episodes to figure it out. But if it's a one shot, I have 2 hours to figure it out, or 3 hours to figure it out.
That's something I've always wanted to do. I want to just be like, hey guys, let's just get together every week and just play with no planning, like whatsoever. Like, we'll make our characters, we'll tie them together. But I just want to see what would happen, where the story would go, what develops with no idea at the start.
Yeah, like I'm gonna start sharing my GM notes, I think, with a certain tier on Patreon.
Nice.
Just so you can see, because a lot of it's like title of episode, recap, one planned scene, and then it says scene 2 blank, scene 3 blank. And you're like, how did you play for 2 hours when all you said was they go to a cafe? And I'm like, I don't know. I just did it.
That's how vague the notes are too.
Yeah, sometimes they are. Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes they're very detailed with like descriptions, but other times it's like
the soul sucker guy.
Yeah. Yes. But some of them are like a bad guy shoots at the window. Scene 1.
That's good.
And that's it. That's the whole scene.
I feel like for me, I could do an episodic superhero game completely improv. Like that would be perfect for me. I'd just think of like old Adam West Batman shows or something.
Yeah.
And just be like, here we go. This is what's happening.
Yep. And I mean, and that's kind of like where I cut my teeth on Twitch, and that's kind of what I'm known for, is that improv style now.
Yeah.
And that's how I run games at home now, the same way. Like I have a lot of world building notes, but not a lot of campaign building notes. So yeah.
How many games are you running right now?
I run one. We play in 3. So there's 3 total, one of which I'm the GM for.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. What games are you running, or what game are you running?
City of Mist. We're doing some City of Mist. So it's a detective. You've seen it. It's a detective game with like powered individuals.
Right.
So
it's low powered individuals too, right?
It depends. It's varying scales of power. They're not like superheroes, like in the traditional sense. They're people that have powers. So at the end of the day, they're still humans. We're actually going into season 2 of that one. So we just did the season finale 2 days ago. Everyone's mind exploded when they solved like the immediate mystery, but now by solving it revealed a much bigger mystery. And so now they're like, oh shit, now what? So that's gonna be pretty cool to figure that out. So so we're going into season 2 next week for that show. So yeah.
What's your favorite system to run?
Either City of Mist or anything by Free League. Those are my favorite systems to run and to play in.
Is it just because they're more narrative and loose?
They're more narrative, and the rules are very simple. It's like 2d6 plus a number, the end.
Nice.
That's how you do everything.
Nice.
And like for Free League games, you need to roll a 6. You roll a pool of d6s, and you need 1 6 to succeed. And then multiple 6s lets you succeed better. And that's it. So very simple system.
You might like some of the games. So Strange Machine games, you might not have heard of them. They're really small.
No.
They've got a fantasy setting. They use like an elegant 10 system. Basically, it's a dice pool of 10s. It's really simple. Like if you roll a 10, basically you get like the maximum amount. But you can choose to not roll certain dice.
Okay.
So like if you have a dice pool of 5, you can say, I'm only going to roll 3. I'm taking 2 automatic ones. If you roll a 10, you get like 2. If anything less than that, it's like nothing or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not well versed on it. I got the book, but I haven't really dived into it. And they have a superhero one that's similar.
I'm the king of that, where I buy the book and I'm like, I'll figure that out later.
Right. My problem is I have a hard time running a game I'm not comfortable with. So I won't. So it'll just sit there until I really got it down. Or I actually had reached out to the developer to run it for me, and he actually couldn't make it the day that we were supposed to play it, so we didn't play it. And I haven't reached out to ask him to do it again since, but that's something that'll probably happen this fall or something. Yeah. Maybe I can get him to do it for a charity game.
There you go. That's it. Get him to play it in October, and then tell him it's for charity. That's the best way to get people to run games for you. Be like, hey, I'm doing it for charity. They're like, oh, that's cool. I'll help you out with charity. That's great. Be like, yeah, we've got we need 4 games of 3 hours each. Let's do this. Yep. And then I'm going to put like a seminar in between, maybe. See, I got the idea. I've had the idea for years. I just need to do it. There you go. Now just execute. Same thing with my interview show. And now I got to do that. Yeah, but that's easy. Like you've got all the skills, like with the overlay. Like your stuff's going to be awesome. I'll figure it out. I already built the overlay. It's just sitting there. I just haven't done it yet. I just haven't asked anyone on the show. So, yeah. All right. So we've been going at it for 2 hours. We have. I probably could talk longer and get more into like personal stuff, but I think this is a great spot to call it. I'm down. So again, if this is your first time, guys, please hit subscribe. Also, check out his links. Twitch is down below. The Dark Fortunes podcast is down below too. But go check those out. Get over on his Discord, all that good stuff. Yeah. I think you're not doing another charity stream anytime soon, are you? No, not for a while until we get a few more things settled and under our belts, and then we can jump back into the charity stuff. Yeah. So when he does the charity streams, he's left it open to the public at times as well. Yeah, it's always open to the public. It's always open to. It's on Twitter. That's the only thing. I announced it on Twitter, having one space to announce it on, or Discord, Twitter or our Discord. Yeah. I can't maintain 90 places where I post. So those are the 2 places. Gotcha. And yeah, you guys can find me anywhere at unMadeGaming. It's the same everywhere. YouTube, Twitch, Twitter. Beautiful. Everywhere. I just saw your chat message, by the way. So that's okay. That's okay. Cold tacos. So anyways, guys, thanks again. Subscribe, like. We'll see you guys next time. Game on.